Levi traveled to a distant city, a dazzling place teeming with life and extravagance. Towering structures adorned with intricate carvings lined the bustling streets, while marketplaces overflowed with exotic goods from all corners of the land. The scent of spices and roasting meats filled the air, blending with the laughter and chatter of merchants and noblemen alike. Levi, with his pockets full of wealth, quickly attracted attention. He bought the finest clothes embroidered with gold and silk, and adorned himself with jewels fit for royalty. He spent his days exploring the lavish entertainment of the city, grand feasts, theatrical performances, and mesmerizing dances performed by the most skilled artists. Before long, Levi was known among the city's elite. He hosted opulent feasts in his rented estate, inviting musicians, poets, and men of influence. His wealth granted him a place at the tables of the powerful, and his charm made him a favorite among the revelers. At first, Levi felt invincible. Each night was a celebration, filled with music, fine wine, and indulgence. The people around him praised his generosity, raising their glasses to his success. The pleasures of the city dulled his thoughts of home, replacing them with a fleeting sense of fulfillment. However, Levi did not notice how his fortune was steadily dwindling. Gold and silver slipped through his fingers like sand, fueling his endless pursuit of pleasure. The very people who had surrounded him, who had praised him and called him friend, were the same ones who encouraged him to spend recklessly, indulging in every excess the city had to offer. Months passed, and soon the weight of his spending became impossible to ignore. His once overflowing coffers grew alarmingly light. The once friendly merchants who had provided him with luxuries now demanded payment. His lavish home, once filled with guests, now felt eerily empty. Then, disaster struck. A great famine swept through the land, leaving the city in turmoil. The markets that had once brimmed with food now stood bare. The wealthiest of men hoarded their resources, while the poor and destitute begged in the streets. Levi, who had once thrown feasts of abundance, found himself struggling to afford even a morsel of bread. Desperate, he turned to those he had once called friends, but they had vanished like shadows. They had taken what they could from him and moved on, seeking new benefactors. Those who had once sung his praises now ignored his pleas for help. Levi wandered the streets, hunger gnawing at his stomach, regret weighing down his soul. He realized, too late, the fleeting nature of the riches he had once believed would last forever. He had exchanged a life of stability and love for empty pleasures that abandoned him in his time of need. One evening, exhausted and starving, he found himself on the outskirts of the city, where the land was barren and desolate. It was there that he met a farmer who kept a herd of pigs. Humiliated and desperate, Levi begged for work. The farmer, seeing his pitiful state, took pity on him. "You may feed my swine," he said, "but do not expect much in return. The land is scarce and food is hard to come by." Levi accepted, though shame burned within him. He, who had once worn garments of gold, now labored among the lowest of animals. As he dropped to his knees in the filth, watching the pigs eat, he realized that he was so hungry that even their food looked tempting. The work was grueling, the pay meager, and the shame unbearable. He, who once dined in golden halls, now longed to eat even the pods the swine consumed. In those lonely, bitter moments, he began to reflect on his choices. He remembered the warmth of his father's house, the kindness of the servants who never went hungry, and the peace he had taken for granted. He had traded a life of security and love for fleeting pleasures that left him empty. One cold night, as he lay beneath the open sky, his heart filled with remorse. "Even my father's servants live better than this," he murmured. It was in that moment of despair that a thought pierced through the fog of his regret. "I will return to my father. I do not deserve to be called his son, but perhaps he will take me back as a servant." "Even my father's servants have more than enough to eat," he whispered. "And here I am, starving." For the first time in months, Levi thought of home, not of wealth or adventure, but of warmth, of kindness, of a father's love. Tears welled in his eyes as he resolved to return, even if it meant returning in shame. With renewed determination, he rose to his feet, brushed the dust from his tattered garments, and began the long journey home.